What up, everyone? So the New Year's has finally approached, and a lot of us, we want to work on ourselves. But the thing is, when it comes to working on ourselves, we don't want to be the person that gets demotivated after 2 days, saying, oh, well, there goes my New Year's resolution. Better wait till 2025. If that sounds like you, this video is definitely for you. And we're just going to cover on what does it mean to work on ourselves, because a lot of us have that question of like, well, I want to work on myself, but I don't know where to start. What does it mean to work on myself? What do I do through the process? I got you. So here are a few tips. So when it comes to working on yourself, building habits is definitely the key thing. If you cannot build habits, how do you expect your goals to be accomplished? Goals are the foundation of your habits. What you do on your day-to-day basis, what gets you to your goals. And a lot of us, when we say we want to work on ourselves, it's also another definition of we want to work on our goals. When it comes to developing habits, there are very simple habits that you can practice in your day-to-day life, such as gratitude, mindfulness, daily reflection, and your overall lifestyle. Gratitude is important because you learn how to appreciate the things that are in the present moment. You learn how to acknowledge the things that you already have. Mindfulness is important because now you're allowing yourself to live in the present moment. You're also allowing yourself to pay attention to your own actions. Half of the time, there are people who are mindlessly walking around Earth, not even being aware of the actions that they're doing. They're literally an NPC. So it's either, do you want to be an NPC or do you want to be aware of your actions? That's mindfulness. And that's the biggest thing when it comes to working on yourself, is how are you mindful about your own behavior? When you do something, how can you pay attention to that action that you just did and reflect to yourself and be like, well, this is what got me mad. This is what triggered me. How can I grow from this, and how can I develop better skills to overcome this small trigger? That's what mindfulness is. Paying attention to these little details about yourself and not being an NPC. And mindfulness is also super important when it comes to accomplishing your goals, because your goals are a step-by-step process. And when you are mindful that each day that whatever task you're doing is attached to your big picture, your end goal, and you're aware of that, that's mindfulness. Now, when it comes to daily reflection, a lot of us, we don't reflect on our lives at all. We finish the day, we get ready for bed, we go to bed, or we're on our phone, we're on TikTok, we're on Instagram, whatever you're doing, you're probably watching Netflix, and you just pass out, knock out without even thinking, what did I do today? What triggered me today? What made me happy today? What is something that I noticed about myself that I want to overcome? And the key to be able to do this daily reflection is have a notebook. You can have one, you can have two notebooks. I have one for my personal life and I have one for my professional life. One notebook, I'm talking about my professionalism, my goals, my dreams. How can I achieve the things that I want to achieve? And what things in my day-to-day life helps me understand my weaknesses as to why I can't achieve these goals. And I have a second journal for personal stuff. Let's say someone says something and it hurts my feelings. I go home and I reflect on it as to why did it hurt my feelings? Is it something because of my past? Like, does it remind me of my past subconsciously? Or am I just a baby? How can I stop being a baby? You get what I'm saying? Have a journal. You don't need two. It can just be one. Doing a daily reflection allows you to be a step ahead. Now, a healthy lifestyle is a super important habit, physically and mentally. What you put in your body determines your mindset. How you treat your body determines your mindset. Your body feels sluggish, your mindset is going to be sluggish. You're putting junk in your body, your mindset is going to be junk. You're watching TikToks every night, what do you think your mindset's going to be? Junk. So what you put in your body, you have to balance it out. Some nights, yeah, I love to scroll on TikTok, but other nights I have to read a book to balance that out. I can't keep feeding my head junk and content that's irrelevant. And I can't be putting junk food in my body, expecting myself to have a clear mind on what I want to achieve. You also have to treat your body kindly. The better you treat your physical body by going to the gym, running, whatever you want to do, any physical activity. Think about this, you work out. You're building discipline right there. You've been working out for 3 years. You just built discipline. You've also started to understand your body. What makes you feel good? What doesn't make you feel good? You also start to develop self-confidence. Now imagine you add all the things that you have learned when it came to working your body and apply it to your goals. Now, another thing to take into consideration when it comes to working on yourself and how you work on yourself, it's very similar to when I was talking about getting a journal and that daily reflection. Self-reflection is being able to tap into the areas of yourself that you really don't tap into. So what are parts of yourself that you're not happy with? Who is the person that you imagine yourself being at the end of the year, 2 years from now? And what parts of yourself are not allowing you to become that person? So how can you detach from that person that's no longer you and start attaching to the person that you want to be, that will allow you to be who you want to be in the next year or two? Another thing too is understanding your insecurities, where they come from. A lot of times we might not even know it, that our insecurities are in the way of our own work and who we want to be in life, and when it comes to working on ourselves. As well, these insecurities can also impact us in the professional world. An example of my personal life is that I had a little fear of public speaking. I was bad at it, and I kept practicing and practicing because it was something I was insecure about. Like, wow, I can't even speak to a crowd, but I can talk online. It doesn't make any sense. Like, how do I have the ability to talk online, but I can't even speak to 5 people? That's embarrassing to me. That's something I was insecure about, and I kept working on that insecurity so it does not affect who I want to be in the next few years. Another part of self-reflection is being aware of who you surround yourself and the people that you surround yourself with. Do they bring out the best in you, or are they bringing out the worst in you? You want to be surrounded by people who are bringing out the best in you. And you want to be surrounded by people who are better than you, so you can become them. That's the whole thing about when it comes on working on yourself, is how can you find influences in your day-to-day life and start hanging out with them more instead of the bad influences who are not reflecting on your growth. You always want to hang out with the people who do reflect your growth. Another area of self-reflection is how can you be better in relationships? Now, I'm not talking about just romantic relationships. This applies to platonic relationships way more. How can you be a better friend? How can you be a better friend? How can you be a better sibling? How can you be a better son or daughter? Because a lot of times we get people in our life who give us so much and we don't even acknowledge it until, the very last second. Like, wow, this person does so much for me. How can I play a better role in this person's life? The last area of self-reflection that you could focus on is what areas need to be taken care of in your life. Now, when I talk about this, it could be your hygiene, it could be your room, it could be your car. These are areas in your life that you need to start taking care of. Maybe it's a plant you have that's dying. What are things in your life that need to be taken care of? Lastly, to the third tip of what it means to work on yourself is challenging yourself. Working on yourself does not mean that you're going to be the same person next year. Working on yourself means that you're expected to be a different person, to be an elevated person of yourself, to be the higher version of yourself, to be the person that you pushed past to their potential and you see more potential after that. That's what it means to work on yourself and challenge yourself. So I'm going to talk a little bit about my life, and hopefully it inspires you to understand what it means to challenge yourself. So for example, I never read. I didn't like reading. 2 years ago, I started to challenge myself because I was like, wow, it's kind of embarrassing that I don't read. And there's so much knowledge in books that I'm missing out. So I started reading. I made a challenge of saying, you know what, realistically, I can finish 3 books in a year. I did that. 2023, realistically, I can read 5 books. I did that. My goal this year is to read 7 books. Now, I'm the biggest advocate to reading, and I love books, and I wish that I read books sooner. Now, another challenge that I'm working on right now is learning calisthenics. So for me, again, this is getting out of my comfort zone. I'm a weightlifter. I like lifting weights, but it is embarrassing that I cannot lift my own body weight. And I tried doing calisthenics last year and I completely gave up. But I've been doing it slowly. It's been about 4 weeks, and I'm doing it consistently once a week because I want to learn how to do a pull-up. I want to learn how to do a push-up or do an L-sit. This is a challenge. This is what it comes to challenging yourself, is finding enjoyment in the challenge. Being a weightlifter for about 3-4 years, there was no more challenge for me, and I still love working out. So I had to figure out what other challenge is there in regards to fitness that I can do to get out of my comfort zone. I can make a whole video about all the things that I've been doing to get out of my comfort zone. We will be here for an hour, but I hope that you guys took into consideration the things that I said and kind of utilize these tips in your own life when it comes to working on yourself. And I want you to remember that you are the most valuable thing in your life. It's you. You need to take care of yourself. You are also a child as well. You can be 30, 40 years old, but there is still a child in you that needs to be taken care of. there is still a version of you that's gonna evolve next year that needs to be taken care of. There are so many versions of you that needs to be taken care of. So how can you prioritize things in your life that allow you to take care of you? Anyway, I'll see you all later. If you guys are not following me on TikTok, I have 2 TikTok pages. One is for more of the personal development stuff and more things about my day-to-day life that you won't really see here on YouTube. And my other TikTok page is just a marketing page where I just talk about marketing, since that's something I really like doing. Other than that, I'll see you guys next week.